Welcome to this meeting of the Wingecarribee Local Planning Panel today, 26th of November 2025. I declare the meeting open at 2 p.m. Wingecarribee Shire Council acknowledges the Gundungurra and Tharawal people as the traditional custodians of this land we now call the Wingecarribee Shire. I pay my respects to elders past and present. I would also like to extend that respect to all Aboriginal Torres Strait Island and Torres Strait Islanders present here today. My name is Stephen Lehman and I'm the chair of today's panel. Also sitting on the panel with me today are expert members Sue Francis to my right and Annalise Tuor to my left, along with community representative Julian Skew. This meeting is being live streamed to Council's website and the recording will be made available on the website after the meeting. At this point, can I ask those present to ensure their mobile phones are turned to silent? There are no apologies. We have a full complement on the panel today. Can I just ask panel members to confirm now that they're familiar with the agenda, they have no declaration of interest? No.
No conflict.
No.
Sue Francis, no conflict.
Okay. Michael McCabe, Director of Communities and Place, declared an interest in item 6.2 for the Woolworths development application as a friend held a senior executive role with Woolworths Limited at the time the application was lodged with Council. He will remove himself from the meeting and will not take part in any discussions in relation to this matter. Thank you. The procedure for the meeting. The Council website contains a copy of the operational guidelines for the panel meetings, but I will summarise some important points. The panel is charged with 1 planning proposal and 2 development application items on the agenda today. There are 2 registered speakers. As per the local planning panel's operational procedures, public members addressing the panel are given a 3-minute time limit. However, this is at the discretion of the panel. We may have questions to ask at the end of your submission. We will deliberate and return to the public meeting to announce our determinations, and that will be live streamed. Although I can't at this point in time say exactly when. That will depend on how the determinations go. The minutes of the meeting will be placed on the Council website with a full detail of our determinations within 2 business days. Now I'll call the speakers. The first item is 6.1, 123 to 125 Old Bowral Road, Mittagong. It is an application for the construction of an artisan food and drink premises, brackets brewery, close brackets. Speaking against the proposal, I have Mr. Warren Davis. Could Mr. Warren Davis come forward, please? Take a seat. Introduce yourself and tell us your interest in the matter so that we understand where you're coming from.
Sure. So my name is Warren Davis and I'm a resident. I live very near the proposed site. I'm on Mittagong Road and I'm against the proposed DA. Firstly, I'd like to begin by saying that I'm not opposed to appropriate developments or improvements to infrastructure in the Southern Highlands. I support local businesses, including the idea of a local brewery expanding. However, I also strongly value the rural landscape, particularly at this location, which provides an essential visual separation between Bowral and Mittagong, as set out in the Wingecarribee LEP 2010. The proposed site is inappropriate for numerous reasons, far too many to cover in a few minutes. While the RU4 zoning technically permits an artisan food and drink industry, the reality is that this rural block, surrounded by residential land, is utterly incompatible with the existing rural and residential character. Its scale, footprint, traffic impacts environmental risks and inconsistency with council's planning instruments make this site fundamentally unsuitable. Although the address is listed as 123 to 125 Old Barrel Road, the particular lot in question, Lot 11, fronts Mittagong Road and has its access there. Advertising it under Old Barrel Road has undoubtedly reduced the number of residents who realised the true location. Had more people understood that this was a Mittagong Road development, the level of community concern could have been dramatically higher. I moved to the Southern Highlands 12 months ago for a semi-rural lifestyle within walking distance of town, not to live opposite a brewery. Despite the claims from Hogan Planning, there will be noise, unpleasant odours, bulk and scale out of character with the area, intrusive lighting and increased traffic. Residents along Mittagong Road already risk their safety every time they enter or leave their driveways. There are many documented accidents caused by drivers unfamiliar with this stretch, treating it as a place to speed. I've actually worked in real estate and property development myself for the past 25 years, so I've read a fair few DAs, but rarely one containing so many inaccuracies. Just by way of example, a letter dated the 5th of June, Hogan Planning claims that every objector who mentions the train line describes the train line as excessively loud. Yet just one, I've read every one of the objections, and only one of the 19 objections mentions the train line at all, and not in respect of the excessive noise. He also suggests that most noise will come from skip bins and forklift beepers, ignoring the far more significant issue of intoxicated patrons leaving the site at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, when noise carries much further than during the day. Was that a bip to stop? I've probably got about another 2 minutes.
30 seconds. Huh?
30 seconds.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, really. We have.
Well, I'll read quickly.
Read it. Yeah, go.
Okay.
Yeah.
He also mentions in his letter that they play balanced, quiet and acoustic music on a Friday night from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. If you looked at the Eden Brewery website, it currently advertises an act from earlier this year that was from 8 till 10 o'clock, so it doesn't finish at 9, it finishes at 10 o'clock. He also suggests that the hops from the brewery have modest aroma, comparable, he says, to the wildflowers on the site. If Mr Hogan had glanced over the fence, he would see that there are no wildflowers left. They've been eaten by the cows that graze there.
Okay. I think we understand your position. Are there any questions from the panel of this speaker?
Shall I just read my summary, or you?
Well, no. 30-second summary?
Less.
Okay.
For these reasons, I respectively urge this planning committee to reject this proposal. The site is fundamentally inappropriate, incompatible and unsafe for the scale and type of development proposed. It threatens the peaceful, rural character of the area, which is highly valued by the community.
Thank you. We understand what your position is. Thank you.
That all?
I think that's all. No more questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
We move on to item 6.2, DA 24/0922. It relates to Woolworths Supermarket at Highland Fair, Bowral. I have online, as I understand it, speaking for the proposal on behalf of the applicant, Naveen Raj and Leonard Slabbert, Tract Consultants. Are you there?
Yes, it's only going to be Naveen today.
Naveen?
That's me. Yeah.
Okay, Naveen, is there something you wanted to say, or were you here to answer questions?
No, if I could just be given some time to state our case. That'd be
3
good.
minutes?
Yeah. Awesome. So good afternoon to the panel chair, panel members, and council staff. My name is Naveen, town planner for Track Consultants, and I'm the representative for the proponents. So for the refusal, our understanding is that the agreement between council and Woolworths is, for all practical purposes, the primary matter requiring resolution, specifically concerning the use of car parking spaces for the proposed direct-to-boot service and the associated easements. However, the panel must look at determining the application for its purpose, intent, and the substantial benefit that the direct-to-boot and lift would have on the wider community, especially among the older demographic of Wingecarribee. The application would not warrant refusal for an issue, however critical it may be, which can be easily conditioned or set through as a deferred matter prior to any works being commenced on site. The proposal is importantly consistent with all planning controls and all the objectives of the zone. Right. The application certainly does not warrant refusal for delays that were primarily caused by a lack of internal council correspondence. However, we want to bring to the panel's attention the following important timeframes. So council provided Woolworths with owner's consent on 21st December 2023, noting that a formal agreement would need to be finalized before CC and once a DA was approved. However, during the assessment, and rightfully so, it was discovered that easements relating to the right of carriageway had expired. Council sent for an RFI on the 13th of August 2024. The assessing officer provided an extension to the RFI, and Woolworths responded with a legally drafted replacement easement on the 30th of September 2024. We were advised that this would be determined in the November planning meeting, but that didn't really go through because council got delayed in putting it through. There were several attempts made to contact council between December 2024 and March 2025. We followed up again on the 21st of March, went unanswered. 9th of April, again went unanswered, and again on the 28th of April, which went unanswered again. So because of the constant no responses from council, Willpower Woolworths sent an email to the general manager Lisa on the 10th of June, and council issued an RFI after 7 months of no answer, stating, well, two RFIs. The first one was on the 30th of June 2025 in relation to the location of the lift and the existing direct-to-boots, and the second one was solely relating to the issue of easements and agreements. So Tract responded to the RFIs on the 29th of July 2025, and it's restated here for the panel discretion. So the lift would have a significant benefit to the community, not only to the customers of Woolworths, but to the community as a whole. Internalizing the lift would be at a cost to the community, and this is further validated because we've received no objections from the community for this development, no objections. Additionally, and importantly, council has expressed, and this is council's words in the first RFI that was sent through, both components will improve the functionality of the center. Council's words. So keeping the lift external would mean that we would not require the relocation of servicing, and it would also greatly improve the safety of the people coming into the site as well. This would have an indiscernible effect on the structural implications as well. So these were all points mentioned in the RFI, which was sent to council, but council found it insufficient, which we likely believe relates back to the matter of easements and the associated agreements. So in the RFI response, we stated that we're happy to arrange a temporary license if needed, and Woolworths have coordinated with the council's property team and are willing to pay the required fee. And there's another important point we want to mention is that the council's coordinator of property services stated on the 28th of August, and this was their statement, I am also in the process of drafting a license agreement for the use of a temporary car spaces for direct to boot.
Thanks for this history, but it's really, we're not really particularly interested in
I mean, I can
transactions. Your time is up.
No,
I don't really want to hear more about that. There may be some questions from the panel.
Yeah.
We want to consider the town planning questions surrounding.
Which is, if I could just conclude.
So if you'll be just quiet now and ask, and just wait and see what the questions are from the panel, we might be able to move forward. Are there any questions from the panel? Thank you, Sue Francis.
Thank you. We understand I just want to clarify, we understand the commercial aspects. They're not the matters we're concerned about. We're only worrying about the planning issues at this point. The commercial matters are matters that are separate to this. One of the matters I just wanted to clarify, it's unclear, but I think your plans show only one door opening in the lift rather than two, i.e. opening both sides of the walkway. Is that right? Would you object to having a lift opening both sides?
Well, that is subject to change. Like, I think on the plans, it probably shows it's just one opening.
Yeah.
But I think that is definitely subject to change if during construction, if that needs to be changed. I think we're happy to
during
do
No,
that.
construction.
no, it's a
Now-
function of your approval. You either have it or you don't. My question is, do you
No,
object
in
to
the plan.
having it opening either way?
No, we don't object to that.
Okay,
No.
thank you. That's fine for me.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, panel, for this speaker?
You mentioned in your opening, about the potential for a deferred commencement. So have you put any thought to a deferred commencement? I mean, in terms of, presumably all these commercial issues could be subject to a deferred commencement. And presumably that would also need to include sort of demonstration that maintenance of the lift would be the responsibility of the applicant, insurance of the lift would be responsibility of the applicant, so all those sorts of things. Is that something that you've got any concerns about?
Yeah, that's what we're hoping to get from this is a deferred commencement to resolve these matters instead of refusing the application itself, but to gain a deferred commencement so that we can actually resolve these outstanding issues, which again is in relation to the lift, but mainly in relation to the agreement between council's property team and Woolworths. So yes, that's what we're looking to do, a deferred commencement or an approval with appropriate conditions of consent. Either or, we're happy to welcome that instead of a direct refusal after 650 days.
And another question, just in relation, as I understand it, there will be a reduction in the number of car spaces compared to what's on the overall site now. Can you just briefly summarise why that's acceptable or how that's been looked at?
Well, in relation to the reduction in the car spaces, that's an outcome of the direct-to-boot that we're proposing. And because of the nature of the direct-to-boot itself, that would warrant reduction in a few car spaces. But the advantages of the direct-to-boot, especially for older people, would be significantly more beneficial. And that was the thought process behind why that was even proposed in the first place. It was never an intention to reduce the car spaces, but to rather make it more easier for the community that are coming to the site. Yeah. And the dwell time is reduced as well with the direct-to-boot. That's another important point. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
In that same vein, I'll just continue with this question. Would you accept a limited time access, for exclusive use of those spaces? As I understand it, peak time is probably a school pickup time when people would pick the kids up from school, come and get the groceries. If there was some sort of time limitation, and you could appeal to amend this later or modify it later, but initially at least, between 3:30 and 5 each day rather than 24/7, so to speak, would that be acceptable?
Yeah, we're happy to accept that as a condition. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were there any further conditions? I think there might be one more. Yeah.
Just in relation to the lift and the hours of operation, what is envisaged for how long that lift will be in operation?
Well, I think that's something that needs to be clarified by Woolworths. But again, I think at this point, given the time frames that we're working with, we're happy to accept council's recommendation for hours of operation. So if council has any specific recommendations saying, hey, you can only operate this lift between these hours, we're happy to take that. And again, that's what we're looking to gain from this is some clarity on that. But yeah, we're happy to accept any hours of operation coming from council. Yeah. And we're happy to work with council to finalize that as well.
Clarify.
Yeah.
So you're saying hours of operation of the supermarket versus 24/7? This is what we're trying to establish, whether you're willing to have 24/7 operation of the lift so that it is a public access versus operation only during the opening of the store.
Well, ideally for us, public access is what we're looking to do, 24 hours, because this, again, like we stated, this is less to do with the customers coming into Woolworths, but for the overall community benefit. So ideally, we're happy to have 24 hours. That's our ideal scenario for the public benefit. But yeah, we're like I said, we're happy to accept council's recommendation of this. But yeah, 24 hours would be ideal for us. Yeah.
So that would require reconfiguration of the lift doors so that they are accessible from the outside at all times?
Yes, that's right.
And then operation 24/7 and then time limitations on the exclusive use of the just DTB spaces.
Yes, that's right.
All right, I think that covers our thoughts and concerns. Is that correct, panel? Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming and helping with our decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There being no further speakers listed, I can determine the meeting closed to enable us to make deliberations and determinations on the matters. And we will return this afternoon before close of business to announce those determinations with full details to be provided, to be published online by the end of the week. I can therefore declare the meeting closed at 2:20 p.m. The local planning panel returns to announce its decisions in relation to the matters on the agenda today, 26th of November 2025. In relation to item 5.1, planning proposal to amend E1 local centre zone to insert additional tourist and visitor accommodation post-exhibition, the panel advises that it supports the amendment to the Wingecarribee Local Environmental Plan. In terms of item 6.1, development application for artisan food and drink premises at 123 to 125 Old Barrel Road, Mittagong, DA 24/1562. The local planning panel determines the application by way of refusal, subject to the principal reasons set out below, these being non-concurrence of Transport for New South Wales, the relationship of the proposal to the zone boundary and the site boundary of the neighbouring property to the north, the height, bulk, scale and form of the proposed development, and insufficient information. Full details of the panel's reasons for refusal will be published in the minutes of the meeting. Item 6.2, for alterations and additions, including the installation of a passenger lift and implementation of a direct-to-boot service to the existing Woolworths supermarket at Highland Fair Bowral on the adjoining council-owned land, DA 24/0922. The panel considers that the proposal has public benefit and that, subject to resolving the issue of easements and public access, the proposal is worthy of approval, subject to a deferred commencement condition. Addressing the following matters. Firstly, the resolution of agreements for easements and public access between the supermarket operator and or the landowner and council. Secondly, dual opening of lift doors at supermarket level to allow public access at both ends of the walkway at all times. Maintenance and insurance of the lift to be the responsibility of the operator of the supermarket. Operation of the lift at all times to provide public access from the public car park to all levels. The above matters shall be addressed to the satisfaction of council within 2 years. Conditions of consent shall be prepared by council staff for electronic determination by the panel prior to the issue of the notice of determination. Those are the minutes of this meeting. I would like to thank those who made submissions and my fellow panel members and council staff for their assistance today. I declare the meeting closed at 3:52 p.m. 2:52 p.m, I beg your pardon. Thank you.